All right, we're live, man. We're up, we're running. It's the third episode. I've been having a fun week. Co- coaches, some of my coaching staff is injured, not been able to be in the gym, so it's been a little bit of a wild ride for the last 2 days. But hey, we're here, we're live, we're having fun. It's Bryan and Bryan TV. And Bryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Pretty tired. Ready for championship meets to be over and back in the gym.
Well,
Focused
we
on
only
not.
have what we had state meet last week for the optionals, and that was phenomenal. That Wayne Thompson did a great job putting that meet together. There was some long sessions, but nothing you could do about that really. As far as the competition level, that was through the roof. I mean,
Oh
there
yeah.
was some really exciting stuff that was done there. So that was really fun. And then, of course, the tech sequences. We had L Barnhill from Cyprus. Congratulations, Tom Meadows and Igor over there, and RJ for their guy. Perfect 10 on his floor tech sequence, which is incredibly hard to do, especially when you have Mark Yancey and Mike Williams, the former Olympian Mike Williams, judging the floor, and those guys don't miss much. So
Yeah, they're tough. They're very tough.
so it was great to see that. And then, of course, we're going to fly right into all the North and the South state meets this weekend. I'll be down in Pearland, and you'll be up in
Saginaw, Texas, which is
Saginaw.
right next to Fort Worth. So if you don't know where Saginaw is, it's a short drive for me at least.
Right, and that's Courtney Parker, our judge of the year. Courtney's had a wild ride this year, as many of you know. She's recovering from and going through some treatments for cancer and everything else. But what a tough lady she has. She's she's kept judging. She's still in the gym. I mean, wow, superwoman there.
Yeah,
And
she's incredible. She's absolutely incredible.
yeah, congrats to her for the award, and congrats to all of our seniors that got honored this last weekend. And yeah, the state meet up there, she's running that along with is that Eric Briley?
Yeah, Eric Briley should be helping out. Yeah.
So maybe we'll if you guys send in enough messages and comments here on our channel, if you get enough subscribers, maybe you can get Bryan with an I to go live at the North State, and you can get Bryan with a Y to go live at the South State and kind of keep up with everything. That would be kind of fun.
That'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be a lot of fun. So, dude, we put up the last blog yesterday for your 4-part series of making a plan and getting all that planned out for the season. Last week we gave away the scheduler. We went through the scheduler and how you mapped it out, visually and on the grid. And this week we put out the blog. It was the final piece, and it was mapping it all out and some thoughts and things that you needed to be thinking about as you put together the final parts of your plan. And I thought that stuff was really, really good that we put out. So leading into that, we want to make sure that the gym owners and coaches understand that these plans work for the athletes, but you can take the same plans and manipulate them to work for the business structure too, and kind of planning out how you need your staff to operate so that you can grow specific programs. And we've been focusing on the boys program. And I know, Bryan, you and I got a real, we got a real big foot into that program. A little bit in the women's side, but not as much. But our heart has really been focused on the men's program. So finishing that out, how would you help a new coach that just started this program to come in and get started and get kids in and then develop them up quickly through the ranks? And when I say that, level 4, maybe it's a good entry level to kind of get their feet wet, but level 5 is really where the competition really starts. It really gets hot and heavy at that point. And how would you guide someone to help build them that program?
Well, at first, man, that's a good question. There's so many things that I would go back and redo. For like the first thing I always tell people when I'm asked this question is you need to have a good set of a good rules and policies for your program. and I often share mine with them, and that just kind of covers the basis for all the problems you're going to end up having, because you're going to learn by mistakes. And then I would really encourage them to go ahead and use this plan right here that I've given, and make sure that they go ahead and plan themselves out to make sure that they're just being as effective with their time in the gym as possible. I think we have this misconception that we need to spend as much time in the gym as possible. And I think that spoils gymnastics for a lot of kids and a lot of families. So if you're sticking with this plan and you have these things planned out, you can really have a, a minimal amount of time in the gym, but you're maximizing every single minute of it. And and I think that's like the key there is maximize your time in the gym. Make sure you're accomplishing uh, as much as you can, so that the kids are having an absolutely blast the whole time and they want to be in the gym. It's like if you have too much of a good thing, it turns out to like spoil it out for you. It's like you eat too much candy, your stomach's going to start hurting. And the same thing with these kids. Um, if you start them out at like 10 hours a week or whatever like that, it's just going to burn them out. And then it's important to note that you're going to be pulling kids upward in your program. So you need to make sure you're spending a lot of time with your class program and you're developing that so that you have a wider base. And, we touch base with that on our first video. That if you have a much wider base, you're just going to end up with more talent up at the top. And oftentimes we just get distracted by our team kids, especially the optionals, and we just can't. We think that we can't get our head away from the main training group and into those lower levels. So if you're a new coach, take a minute, plan out what you want to do, execute the plan, and then make sure you're just paying attention to the amount of hours you're working out, and you're not burning the kids out.
Yeah, I find it interesting. We have Gene Watson joined our coaching staff this year as the head coach over at HGC, and he brought in a lot of new and well, I wouldn't say new, but he brought in some different ideas, some different ways of thinking about the program, some different ways of thinking about how we evaluate the students in the program. And I went to him. I was like, "Hey, Gene, we're looking for the summer. We got these classes going on. Do you want to evaluate these classes?" He said, "If they're 5 years old, 5.5, stick them all in level 4." I said, "All of them?" He says, "All of them. Stick them all in level 4." I said, "Well, why would we do that?" And he said, "Because I don't see level 4 as being the beginning of competitive gymnastics. I see the level 4 being an intro to what gymnastics could be, so that they can come in, they can start with like 3 hours or 6 hours a week of training and have it be optional, whether it's a 4 hour or a 6 hour, have that third day optional, just 2 hours at a time, and see which kids actually like it. And then by the time they turn 7, then they either, will have moved into the level 5 program, or they will have moved over into a different type of a recreational program." But he says, give everybody the chance, because you never know who in those classes can do those skills and actually become a rock star gymnast. And like you said, big base. And at our club, it's out of the JCC, the ERJCC of Houston. So it's a recreational center, and not having the thousands of kids that some of the other gym programs have. We've got a smaller number, about half that, 650, 700 kids. So, when you're talking about building that base, you have to look at, what are the numbers in your program that you have to pull from, and then how can you use those numbers to best benefit your team if the team is something that you have a focus on. It may not be. Maybe you don't have a focus on a team. Maybe you just want a big rec program, and that's cool too. But there's always going to be those kids in there that are going to want to compete and do something more with the sport. So I think you need to, at some point, offer it. And when you and I, we've been in the men's program for a long time. You can make money in men's gymnastics. You just have to be willing to do the work.
Well, yeah, I think most gyms, they have two big areas of growth. Like their rec women's program is big. It's growing. It's large. It's fantastic. But what they find out is they have all this equipment open on the men's side, and they would just pay a little bit more attention on the men's side or the preschool program. That's really where they have the chance to really flip the profits to the good side, because gymnastics, men's gymnastics takes a lot of equipment, a lot of space. Um, and I always joke, I'm like, man, if we just got rid of a couple sets of P bars or whatever, we could put in 4 more beams. But
That's just true.
it's very true. Or we could just, have a little bit bigger of a men's program. We could push the men's program a little bit. And that's when it comes down to the coaches. That's when it comes down to the staff. We can't do it without good staff. And luckily at my gym, I think we hired like 4 guys. And I really hope that they're going to work out. And we got some high schoolers that are helping out now. It's just tough, the staffing crisis that is gymnastics. If you're good at your job in gymnastics, you can coach for the rest of your life and not have to worry about a job.
That's true. And what I've been asked by some of the people that have actually watched our videos. I've gotten some feedback from a number of folks, and some of these are new coaches. They're young. They just came into the sport, first year or two in. And one of the questions they ask is, is this your full-time gig? Is this what you do full-time? And well, yeah, I'm assistant director of the program at Houston Gymnastics Center, but I'm also the assistant coach right now. And yeah, so I do this full-time. Well, how did you work up to be able to do that? Because in my gym, they're just not willing to pay. So I'm not looking at whether I'm going to be able to stay in the sport and keep coaching. And I think for us that really are passionate about gymnastics and overall, from the women's to the TNT to the men's program, that we're really passionate about it, we've got to look at that area, because that's an area of growth. The men's program is an area for substantial growth. And we've got to look at that and kind of fix some of these areas of contention, which is, how are we paying these guys? Mm-hmm. How are we training these guys? And then how are we mentoring these young folks so that they can come up and I mean, we're not going to be around forever. I mean, we're not. Someone's going to have to fill in our shoes at some point. So who are we bringing up behind us? And right now there's a gap. At least that's what I'm seeing as I try to hire an assistant coach. There's a gap. It's hard to find somebody that really wants to make a career of this, because of how hard it is to just do the simple thing like pay the bills.
Yeah, it's exceptionally difficult. I think it's easier now than it was 15 years ago. Maybe that's just because I'm 15 years older than I was 15 years ago. But there's so much that goes into a gym club program, and there's so many people that walk to the gym club program and goes, "Oh, I want to be part of this for the long term. I want to do this for a living," but they don't have the real world perspective that takes 3, 4, 5, 6 years of development to get. And I don't think gym owners and programs are willing to spend money on people that don't have that perspective. Especially young people, because whenever you're trying to manage a group of people that have kids or deal with parents that have kids, and or you're not of that age yet, it's very difficult to interact with them from a standpoint of authority. The kids are still, they kind of view you as young, so it's a lot of gym owners try to protect themselves and try to protect their employees by making sure they restrict what positions these are in. And plus, I think there's one time a coach should switch gyms, and it's whenever they feel like they've arrived at the next level of coaching and they've been able to prove themselves, and the current gym program is not willing to give them a shot. And I think, and I get this from my church a lot too. If you think that you're at that level, then you need to go talk to the people at that level and have a very candid conversation of whether you're ready for that head coach position job or the general manager job that you're looking for. And I don't think a lot of us are willing to go out and say, "Hey, just tell me what you really think about me." And I think that's difficult for people. So, but I think it's beneficial, especially if you're considering a move or if you're wondering why you haven't been put at a certain level.
Yeah, and that's true. And there's a number of people that have come through our program that, hey, they wanted to be the guy, they wanted to move up and do this and that, and then they got kind of angry or disgruntled or frustrated or however you want to put it, that they couldn't walk in and coach a team. Well,
Mhm.
why can't I coach a team? I mean, I did gymnastics as a level 5 back in the day. I don't understand why I can't coach a team. And yeah, level 10s, yeah, what do they do? Just tell me what they're doing. I got it. And it's like, wait, no, that's not really going to fly.
Yeah.
And hey, there's people and I know I have staff that are probably sitting there scratching their head and going, well, why is Bryan in that position? Why didn't they come talk to me about this position? And it's like, well, Bryan put in a number of years of learning in the gym, and then I put in a number of years learning outside the gym business, and then I came back to what I love to do and bring all that knowledge back with me to try to help make me a better coach and a better gym administrator and technically gym pseudo
So
gym owner.
now that you said that, do you think it's ideal that a coach, especially one that wants to be in the a head coach or just a manager at your program, have had a corporate job in the past? Be-
I will say that it doesn't hurt
mhm,
because that um, the corporate business world is so unique unto itself, and you have to work your way up the ladder. You have to do a number of things that you may or may not be willing to do to climb that ladder. But in the gymnastics world, it's all about perseverance. Like the whole thing that you're doing is growing, and it takes years because it takes years for these athletes to develop.
mhm,
You don't grow a level 10 gymnast in a season. They don't go from level 6 to level 10. So in the corporate world, you're put at an entry level position. You may be at that entry level position and at entry level pay indefinitely if you're not willing to go outside the box and do some self-guided education, maybe get some formal education, do something that's going to get someone's eye. Because I have friends that are my age. I'm 45, fixed to be 46. I have friends my age that are just one level above an entry level position
mhm,
in corporate America. And in gymnastics, it's like, they walk in the gym, these guys walk in the gym. Well, I did gymnastics. I should be able to coach level 10. I was an elite gymnast. I should be able to run a program. Well, okay, cool. What do you know about budgets? What do you know about communications? What do you know about I mean, there's so many things that go into this program that you can't just I mean, even guys coming out of college, sometimes I scratch my head when they end up being head coaches of programs or this or that. And then I'm never surprised when they don't stay.
mhm,
I'm never surprised when it doesn't stick because it's like, okay, well, you guys set them up for failure by putting them in some place where they really weren't ready. Because the experience, and I was one of those guys. I was a young guy and I wanted to climb to the top so fast it was unbelievable. I mean, I wanted to be there in a blink of an eye. And Tim and Mizo and Yancey and Scott and everyone else, put their thumb on my head, and it took all of them because I'm a big guy to hold me down. But it was worth it. I mean, it was worth the lessons learned there. And I think some people just have to understand whether you're going to take a corporate route and learn those things, or you're going to do a coaching route and coach and then do what I did and kind of get out for a little while, go do some other things in corporate America and
mhm.
entrepreneurial America, and then come back with those lessons learned. I think it's valuable. It gives you a new perspective because you find out real quick the grass isn't greener. The ladder doesn't the rungs aren't any closer together. You still
Mhm.
have to work just as hard to get from one step to the next step to the next step, and it's tough. And I
Well,
think some gym owners don't look at it that way.
well, yeah, Brian, like if you haven't had, in my opinion, if you haven't had a retail job or some sort of corporate job where you're dealing with corporate America, it's very tough to understand where a gym owner is coming from. And you kind of get burned out, I think. And then I don't know, 5 years down the road, you're at a different job and you realize, oh, maybe my boss knew what he was doing.
Well, I've had several friends that have opened their own gym on the premise that they knew better, they knew best. This fool they were working for, he doesn't know. I know. This would be better. They go open their own gym and then they're like, dude, what happens if? What do
Yeah.
you do when? Hey, do you know about this? Because I mean, and you look at him, you go, now you understand why gym owner so and so was such a tight ass, because he didn't want to spend money on this, he didn't want to spend money on that, and he was focused on these areas because he knew if he got these areas right, then he would have the money to do this, that, and another thing. And you thought you knew better, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And how many gyms have you seen open and then either get bought, sold, or close
Oh,
in a
tons.
very short period
Oh,
of time?
tons. Absolutely. I think the last thing to really talk about when we're talking about new coaches, especially new coaches that want to reach that level, is retention. We have all these young coaches out there who, oh, I want this group, and they get an opportunity. A coach or manager deliberately gives them an opportunity. Like, they get, okay, here's your level 8 group or whatever. They're yours. You're doing all the planning for it. We're going to supervise this. We're going to make sure you're doing it right. And then 6 months later, the group goes from 12 athletes to like 6 athletes. And now all of a sudden, the gym owner, it's a level 8. So you're talking like 300 something odd dollars a kid a month, has lost $2,000 a month in revenue. And that gym owner is now looking, going, okay, what was the common link here? Maybe it was that coach. Maybe was it time for those athletes to seek other opportunities, or were there injuries, or what happened? But most of the time, it ends up being the coach.
Right.
And so if you're a new coach in the industry, every single one of those kids is worth your time, and you have to figure out how to keep them in your program at all costs. But that's your job, to keep them in the program, keep paying the bills for the program. That way, you can get a portion of that income.
Yeah, I think it's a good point you bring up, because again, we were talking about the coaches wanting to jump in there and do these things. And what you see sometimes when the coach comes in, and they're new, they're brand new to the coaching world, and they don't understand the things that we talked about, like the budgets, the business, all that stuff. Then they don't understand that, and it's hard. It's very tough. But as a gym professional, a coaching professional, you have to look at each athlete as both a dollar sign and
Mm-hmm.
a project, because
Exactly.
the athlete is your project. That's what you're being paid to work on and produce a result for. And if you can't identify that, this kid who's having a bad week, or maybe this kid who's having a bad day, or maybe you get a kid who has some additional problems, ADHD, OCD. You get some of these kids that have a little bit of a special needs issue
Mm-hmm.
that mom and dad are working on, and they just need a little help in the gym. But the gymnastics is incredibly beneficial for them, incredibly beneficial, great outlet for them. But if the coach doesn't know how to handle that and handle them when they throw their fits and do their things, and
Mm-hmm.
then you start losing the kids. And then, like you said, each one of those dollar sign projects that walk out the door, and it's at some point it comes, okay, what am I paying you to do? Because all you've done so far is lost me, 2,000 a month, 24,000 a year in revenue. So I can't grow my program. I can't help you grow your program. I can't pay you.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I do? You've put me in a position. What would you suggest I do? And then they just say, well, I guess I'll leave.
Yeah.
I guess just this sport's not for me. I can't do this. This is ridiculous. You
Yeah.
should just be able to pay me.
Yeah. Your job is to bring in new business and retain old business.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Well, in wrapping up our segment here, mapping it all out, you have to think about, and that's why we made it broad. The topic was broad. Okay. As we talked about here, how many different avenues of mapping it all out? How many things do you have to think about to map it all out? I mean, we had the schedule and the planner that helps you visually map out how you're going to do things in the gym and in your workouts and during the year for the meets and all that. But you also have to think of these other areas, like how are you going to grow your budget by adding new kids in the program? How are you going to utilize that budget to do X, Y, and Z so that the program can keep growing? Are you going to hire another coach? Is that part of the budget expansion, that you're going to try to hire another part-time coach, and you're going to try to pay them well enough to where they can stay around for a while and learn and grow. And I think all of this comes into, how you're going to map it all out. And if you don't sit down and put a pen to paper, it may not end up so well.
Yeah, exactly. So
So
take the time, guys. That's
take
all
the
it
time.
takes. It,
You
it,
know,
it yeah.
no, go
It
ahead,
doesn't
Brian.
take it doesn't take all that much time, but it does require you to sit down, put some thought into it, and think long term. And I've met coaches that have plans for an athlete that go out 3-4 years. They're trying to peak their athlete to get ready for Olympic trials, or they want them to go to college, so they want to make sure their senior year or junior and senior year are really, really solid. They care less about the freshman and sophomore year peak, and they just want that to be developmental. They really want their kid to hit their peak at this level. And it's important to note that sometimes it's over a season, sometimes it's over 2 seasons. Um, yeah.
And
So
remember, the kids are a project. Your
yeah,
athletes are a project. Each one of them is an independent project. And you are a project manager. You're managing all of those athletes to get them to a result. And it's not the same result for all of them, it's an individual result. And it's an individual sport with a team aspect. And that's kind of how you have to view each one of your athletes, especially if you're doing what Bryan said and trying to get one or two or three to, I mean, get into college. God, that's tough.
that's tough. Hey, Bryan, you keep mentioning this product about and trying to get kids off, I think, Advil and painkillers and stuff. Can you elaborate a little bit for me on it, because I haven't heard a whole lot about it. I know that most of our viewers probably haven't either.
Yeah, I got approached by a friend of mine, a former business partner, actually, Mike Calderwood. He was at the H&I. His company that he represents is called Canaway. And Canaway is doing a lot of things with cannabinoids, and it's CBD oils and the different uses of those. And a lot of people are confused or misled about products that come from cannabis and products that come from hemp and all this kind of thing. And the research that's being done right now is incredible, because the more that the products have been opened up into certain areas and put on the market and legalized, people have actually found that you don't have to have the bad things that are in the product, but because the good things that are derived from the product actually help with, they help people that are going through cancer treatments. They help people that have epileptic seizures. They help people that are have chronic pain. And in our sport and in sports in general, Advil and NSAIDs in general are overused. Most people, athletes, young athletes, are taking these things daily, and it breaks down the muscle tissue over time. It is hard on the liver, hard on the body.
Ulcers.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's not, it does relieve pain, and that's why we use them. But I think they're used better for short-term relief. And what Mike has given us a link to, and it's in the video links, is a link to the store where you can go and try some of these products. They're free of all of the THCs and all that kind of jazz. It's just the cannabinoids, just the CBDs, the part that are good for you. They're good for your joints, good for your health. I mean, there's a whole you can, if you want to do the research, the whole endocannabinoid system of the body. And there's some other oils. People that are into essential oils know. I think it's Sephoria that also has some of these CBDs in it, and actually, in some ways, has more benefits than some of the cannabinoid oils. But the products that we're trying to utilize here, and they're kind of helping out the show, is Canaway. And at any time you want to talk to Mike or his partner, Jeff Lassard, they can kind of run you through how these products work and how they benefit the body. And I know that my wife and I have been using them for a little bit, because we got some samples from Mike at the H&I, and so we've been using it. And it's not an immediate thing, but if you take it, as they say, every day, about 3 or 4 days in, back pain, shoulder pain. I always feel a cold front coming in because I tore my bicep, and this year I didn't have to endure much of that, and that was because we were using a little bit of these things, and stuff works. So some of the athletes from the H&I have come back and said, "Hey, coach, that stuff works, man. How do I get more?" And so it does work, and I think it's a good thing for athletes to look at alternatives.
Well, Brian, I tell you what. How about you send me a sample because I had a rotator cuff surgery. My back hurts when I sleep sometimes and stuff. I'll try it out, and then we can keep everybody updated on seeing if it actually improves everything.
I could do that. I'll tell Mike that the co-host wants a sample, man. So we'll send it to him and everything. But we have some other things in the works for everybody.
Oh yeah.
So stay tuned for other episodes. We're a bit long in this one, but we had a lot to wrap up in an episode. But I hope everyone's enjoying what we're doing. Support us by subscribing to the channel. We're really trying to push YouTube subscriptions up. If we get to a certain level, once we get to 1,000 subscribers, then it puts us at another level on YouTube, and that will help us promote and get other things going and other training modules and things that we have in the works and in planning up and out to you guys very quickly and easily, and very cost effective for Bryan and I. So if you guys can go like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, that will help us tremendously.